Greetings monday.com friends, and welcome to the basic webinar overview to help you guys get started on the right foot. Now, I know this can be intimidating, but exploring this together, we're going to help you guys meet your goals for communication and collaboration in context. The amount of power and control that you have when you do have that proper form of communication in your team is unparalleled. So let's take a look and see exactly how this can help your team. Now remember, this video is a little bit longer, but we're really only scratching the surface. There's so much that you can do. We have huge international sales teams working across the globe and small little photography studios, one-person organizations even using this platform. It can be used for just about anything. We just need to build it the right way and make it work for you. So let's dive in and take a look at monday.com. Now, what you're looking at here is a board, and I want you guys to get the terminology right here so that you can give a quick overview and understanding for what we're talking about in the event that we have to go further discussions, right? So you're looking at a board here, and let's talk about boards really quickly because they're the foundation for everything that happens on monday.com. Imagine them like a bulletin board or a whiteboard even. These main boards, which are this right here, these function like an open office. Everybody can dive in and see what you're working on, but they don't necessarily see everything that's happening, right? It's only if they go look for it or if they're subscribed to or part of it. So imagine it like an open office, like a desk that's out in the open. Anybody can walk up and see what you're doing, but they might not necessarily do so. Now, shareable boards are a little bit different. You can share these outside of your company. Now, we're talking in the context of a chocolate factory right here, Matt and the Chocolate Factory, the legendary sequel. But for our chocolate factory, we're going to be working with contractors to help fix the machines and freelancers to help us design stuff. They don't need to be involved in everything, right? Shareable boards are a great way for you to get guests in your account, and guests can only see the shareable boards that they've been invited to. They can never see main boards, and they can never see private boards. So shareable boards are great for working with your team on a secluded project or working with a secluded team with guests outside as well. So it's a great option for you guys to kind of keep that information segmented. Again, shareable boards only by invitation, and private boards are also only by invitation. The main difference here is that no guests can ever get access to your private boards. So you can work alone or you can work with selected teammates. For this example, I like to say that my chocolate factory executive team, we're working on these huge international deals, right? Closing all these big accounts. We keep the financial data segmented from the rest of the team because not only is it not relevant, but it's not necessarily something we want to share. So if you have sensitive information, data, important things that you want to keep track of, but keep separate from everyone else, private boards are the place to do it. So let's dive in and take a look at this board right now so I can walk you through what you're looking at. Of course, we've got the board title here, and we've got some UI options, which I'll cover soon. But these are groups, right? These individual colored areas are groups, and underneath these, we have pulses, right? These give you the pulse of what's going on in your business. Sorry, I had to. Now, when you want to understand what's going on, you can click inside of these pulses, but really the magic happens inside of these columns, right? So let's talk about how we can marry all of these things for a perfect business experience. So when you're looking at this, right, you can see it's almost like a progression system. You've got your groups, you've got your pulses, and then you've got these individual columns. Now, these columns can all be added through this button right here, and let's walk you through each one individually so that you can understand the context for them. First, we've got the person column. This is an amazing way for you guys to keep track of who's in charge of what, who's accountable, and best of all, you can filter and search. I don't know if I could spell my name right. There we go. You can see here that you can filter on the board and find just the information for the person that you're looking for, but it also gives them notifications for who's in charge. So if I assign myself to something, or I assign somebody else to something, they will get a push notification on their devices. They'll get an email through their information. So things like that are really important. So every time I assign Zanetta, Tan, Anna to any one of these, they'll be notified that they are assigned to something and they will be an owner of that particular item. So that's a great way for you guys to have accountability inside of the project. Now, my chocolate factory is working on some big deals. And as you can see here, these status columns are a great way for you to visually see immediately, boom, I know what's happening in the business. I know where we're at. I know what I need to do next. So as you can see here, these status columns give you the ability to create labels. And these labels let you show visually and colorfully where you're at with your particular project for that individual item. Now, this doesn't have to be clients, right? These could be tasks in the chocolate factory. They could be employees measuring shifts, so we know who's going to be on, making sure nothing breaks. I'll show you guys all kinds of different options here soon, but know that these can really be customized and created to anything that suits you. Now, these status columns are great and a really wonderful way for you to keep tabs on it, but that communication in context is something you can even do through this. These are what we call the tabs, right? You can go through here and you like a little sticky note, you dog ear it right here and go inside to comment on these items. And this is going to be in the updates feed. So let's write that there and we'll dive in and see where that is in just a second. Now the numbers column is great for any kind of numbers that you're tracking in your business. I particularly want to know all the deal sizes, right? How much chocolate are we going to sell today? It's almost the holiday season here when we're recording this, so we're getting ready for lots of action. Now, this is important for you to also know that you can change the sums and the functions of these, right? So you can say no function, average, median, minimum, maximum, but also you can have the overall of the board. So no matter how many groups you have, you can see the overall for whatever function you're applying here. An amazing new feature. This could be deal size, sure. It could be if we have an event at the chocolate factory, we want to track how many people are coming. Maybe it's hours worked on the floor, right? We want to make sure that everybody's working their appropriate shifts and they're not going too little or too much. So it's a great way for you guys to have these quick, simple functions on your boards and track that information across the data. Now, the timeline is an awesome item for you to keep track and collaborate in context. And what I mean by that is you can see here, this automatically opens up a new view, a visual view. Whereas we have the date column, which I'll show you in a second, that you can use. The timeline column is a more visual option for you. You can go days, weeks, or months, and you can dive in to really dig into the data and understand what is happening. So now I can see who's got the bandwidth for certain projects. I can see colorfully where these different projects lie in the chocolate factory, and I can also change what I'm looking at. So right now I'm looking at kind of the team bandwidth, right? But let's say I want to look at all the contacted items. Now I can see a new view. Who's won? Who's sent? Who's do I need to call again? I can go through to the proposal section and now a whole new view pops up. I can see who's improved, who's in negotiation. Really incredible options to sort through these different items. So all of this information right here that I'm adding, this is entirely on the board already. I don't need to do anything other than assign times, which I can drag and drop, change at any moment. I can go down here to a fly down as well to adjust, and if I want to, I can sync it to any calendar. Really helpful way for you to visually see what's going on. So the timeline, again, gives you that bandwidth of your team and a lot of visual overview for what's happening. Okay, so let's dive into some of the columns that we didn't take a look at. First, we've got the text column, and this can really be anything at all. You'll notice here that if we change this, you'll notice that it changes in this group as well. Now, I'll show you if you want to get multiple different types of views, I'll show you a quick trick to make that happen. But this is designed to kind of keep that headspace similar and understanding inside of the board. So we want to make it flow and make sense for you no matter which board that you're hopping to. So this can be anything at all. You can put domains in here, phone numbers, any text, notes. All of this, of course, is searchable, right? So if you go to your search everything or your search the board, you can determine exactly what you want to find. And when you're done with it, boom, you can click delete and it will go into your recycling bin. So don't worry, if you delete it, it'll still be there for a little while. You can make sure to recover if there's any mistakes that are made. Now, we're also going to take a look at the date column, and we jumped into the timeline, but the date column is pretty self-explanatory, right? You can go in, plug in these dates, and of course you can sync them to your calendar again if you wish. So it could be a start date, an end date, a deadline, whatever it might be. You can always go in and utilize that date column. Again, the dates are fully searchable, and the cool thing about it is let's assign one from a while ago, and let's assign one in the very late future. You can go in here and filter through these different options. This is a great way for me to explain it here, so I'm going to jump right in. You can always filter by person, but you can filter by this week, next week, this month, future, past, whatever you want. And you can really go in and adjust those different items. So using these on our brand new React boards really give you a lot of flexibility for how you use them. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, throw that in the recycling bin, and let's take a look at the tags column. Now the tags column is going to be coming out for our Pro and Enterprise plans, and it's going to be a very simple way for you to tag and measure different things. So actually that tag is not even spelled right, so I'm going to go ahead, there we go. So tags function a lot like hashtags if you're familiar with them, and what they're going to do is really give you that extra layer of filtering. If I've got 5 different tags for client 1 here, and I want to understand, what type of chocolate they are, where in the conveyor belts they're usually being produced at, how long they've been with us, I can categorize and tag anything that I want, and then use that in searches to really drill down and only see the things that are super important to me. So tags are an incredible new feature coming out very soon for our Pro and Enterprise plans. So now you have an understanding. You can add as many columns as you want, as many pulses or groups as you want, and you have a quick overview for how these work. But let's dive in back into here. We talked about this as an option for you, and this is what we call the updates feed. The updates feed is an incredible way for you to stay and collaborate in context, right? You ever had a moment where you've had to gather an email, find something in Excel, dig through and hunt down, did you see my email? No. Okay. Those kinds of situations really go away because of the updates feed. So the updates feed really gives you an option to go and track things that you're working on. This gives you the ability to communicate and collaborate in context. We here in monday.com almost never email each other. We use email mostly as an outside source, and it is so liberating and empowering. You can go in and determine who has seen these different updates, right? Have you ever had that moment where you're wondering if somebody got the email or not, or did they find out anything at all? We, of course, can't tell you whether or not they digested that information, but we can certainly let you know if they've seen it. You can also pin it to a post, like it, very similar to Facebook, or reply in a threaded conversation. So say goodbye to internal communication email and hello to monday.com's update feed. I can go in here and add files if I want from my computer, Google Drive or Dropbox. I can add GIFs as well, and I can mention people. So let's dive into that really quickly because this is super awesome. I can go in and mention everybody on my video team, which is what this account is showing for, the Chocolate Video Factory. So I can go in and say, hey, everyone, this is an alert, and they will get an update that's sent directly to their phones, emails, push notifications if they have the apps across all of their devices. So this gives you a lot of flexibility for doing that. I can also go and mention specific people. So I can say, hey, Tan, how's this going? And if I push update here, he'll get a push notification across all of his devices. Again, I can attach any files that I want. And of course, I can also go in and write updates via email. So each pulse has its own individual email option. And I can change this, right, to chocolate123. And now, anytime I email that address, it's going to get dumped straight into this feed right here, and we'll be able to keep context and collaboration for what's going on. So it's an amazing way for you guys to keep track of all of that information. And again, having the fact that we don't really email each other ever, it's used mostly as an outside source for email communication here at monday.com is incredibly liberating and empowering. So we really want to help you guys bring that too. Now, the info boxes is a great way for you guys to think of it like a desk drawer. This is something where you can go add notes, add files, add Q&As, and you can go in here to keep things at the top of your mind without scrolling through the feed. Of course, this is going to be always the latest information. You can go in and delete items, of course, but the info box is more persistent. You can adjust the areas that you have here to make them have a certain flow. And of course, you can also go in and add more files and then add Q&As. I often get questions, how do I use Q&As? Well, Q&As very simply could be a way for you to keep that context for what you're doing. If you have a specific way that you want something to get done, if I say, look, you guys can't add the chocolate to the machine until the conveyor belt's turned off, you want to keep those processes flowing, the Q&A is a great way to do that. So when people come and look in, they can always say, okay, here's the instructions that I need to follow. Here's how Matt wants these things done. And you can keep that flowing seamlessly. So it helps you build those processes out for your team. So we've taken a look at all of the items related to columns inside of the updates feed, but let's take a look at some of the UI options here and point out some other things that are really cool about this platform. Of course, you can go in and minimize these different items right here. So now that we've looked at these different items, you can see and utilize each one and understand how they can work for you and your team. This right here is a minimize collapse kind of option. It gives you the flexibility to go in and say, okay, here we go. These things are done. I can see also how many pulses are there, and it helps me just filter down and only see what I want to be looking at. Each pulse has its own individual line item as well. We call this batch actions. You can go in and archive, delete, or move, but cool thing, I can change all these statuses at once, right? I can change all of these informations together. I can edit these different things in context. So this really helps me keep a hold of what is needing to be done and do it to mass groups as well. So each pulse, while it has its own menu, you can also see that each group has its own menu as well. I can move groups around. I can change their color. I can even export them to Excel if I wish. So there's lots of flexibility for how you can work. You can even adjust this column size right here. You can move columns around depending on what suits you best. So really, the way you want to build this out, you can absolutely do so. This right here is when you want to have items in your inbox. We call these subscribing to a board. So the inbox almost functions like an email replacement. You would subscribe to boards that are really important and relevant to you. This also matters over here on this left-hand pane, because if you see here, I'm only subscribed to a few. But if I want to see everything that's going on, I can do so through the All button. So it's really great for creating that flexibility in that workspace, because there might be 50 boards on your account, but you only really care about 10 of them. That gives you the flexibility to do so. You can even go in here and determine who exactly is supposed to be on this board. You can make them an owner, which gives you extra permission levels if you want, or you can remove them if you don't want them to be part of it. If you do so in the shareable and private boards, by the way, that does remove them from being able to see it. So being inside of those shareable and private boards, you're automatically subscribed. This is our board log. So you can see all the cool updates that have been made to this board. If you're wondering who changed that status or when was this update specifically made, boom, go right here and you can see exactly who did it, what they changed, and when. Of course, the board updates also gives you every single update inside of what's going on here. You can use and still see everything. You can reply to everything. So if you just want to see a general feed of what's going on in there, the board log and the updates is a great way to do so. And then we've got the board menu. Now, these are all things that we've kind of covered, but there are a few things here I think are really important to mention. Of course, you have board permissions. You can set it so that everyone can change or only owners. That helps with the managerial aspect that we pointed out here. You can also determine your email preferences, and a cool thing is, let's go here. We can actually make a board email. So let's do chocolate321. And there we go. Now, anytime I email this for my team, anything about the chocolate factory related to the tasks that we need to accomplish this week, I know that that's the email address. So I can go in and make that happen very simply. I can go and send that email, and then it will create a new group letting you know that that is there. So you can go in and adjust it, and it will automatically have all the columns and everything else, just like the structure you've already built in the board. Of course, you can Excel export if you wish. You can duplicate, which is incredibly helpful for making like a skeleton kind of board that you would want to work from more times. An example for this kind of business would be like every time I have a new client come on, they want to make chocolate in our chocolate factory, I would go and duplicate my client board and then rename it, right? Make it so that it's like a template. That way I don't have to build it out every single time. I know every time a new person comes in, they got to sign the contract, right? They've got to ship us the ingredients. They've got to tell us all these other things. So duplication gives you a lot of flexibility for creating those templates or those things that you want to reuse very often. And of course, you can change the board type as well to shareable, private, main, whatever you might have in those moments. You can always change them at your leisure. So now we have a firm understanding of the different types of things with the different areas, right? We know about boards, inboxes. We know about how to utilize these different options. Let's jump into the search. And this, I think, is by far the most powerful thing for what we can do here. I can go and search across all my boards. Remember client 21? I can search across all my boards and see, hey, here's the stuff in shareable boards. Here's the tasks that are related to it. Yep, actually, this is the high priority. I can go in and change these different items. So all these different things can be adjusted and easily edited at will. So when you're inside here, you can go and make these updates. And then you've got the filter. So you can go back here and say, okay, I want to see everything that's been going on for a while. And there it is. In relation to client 21, everything that's happening in this period, you can see going on through there. So this filter, you can zoom in, you can zoom out, and you can easily adjust these different things to make it work for you. So of course, there's so much flexibility here. Let's dive into a couple more quick things I think are really awesome. I can search for myself to see all the tasks that I want to work on. And if I want to filter that, I can as well. It's very easy to do. But let's say I only want to look at the stuff that I am working on. I can go ahead and type that in, and I can see based off of any status the different items that are related to what I am working on. So you can see here I'm assigned, I own it, I'm the lead, I'm the assistant, whatever I might be. I can see across all of the boards just exactly how that works. I can save it so that I make sure that I jump back in. So if I'm doing something else, right, just searching for everything that's done here recently, I can go back into my magnifying glass and see exactly what I'm working on. So right back here, I can see these are the saved searches that I've made. And of course, I can automatically search any tags that I was using. Now, I do love this one. Times I was mentioned and didn't reply. I could see here from a couple of months ago, oh no, I missed this update. So I can go in and easily determine what's going on there. And so there's a lot of flexibility for how you can use this. Again, the inbox functions very much like an email inbox. I can go through, check these items off. I can undo them if I wish, or I can filter just by certain boards to make sure that I'm on top of the updates that are relevant to me. If I want to close them all, I can click close all, and then I've reached the holy state of inbox 0. So my friends, welcome to monday.com. There's so much that you can do here, and again, we've really only scratched the surface. We'd love to chat with you, hear how you're using this product, and of course, if you have any questions, we are 24/7, 365. Let us know what we can do to help you, and we'll look forward to seeing you inside monday.com.